Shalom. All honor, praise, and glory be to Yahweh Ba'ashmi Hawashah, Wahakwadash Rakah. Double honors to the apostles and the elders at the great millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings to the brothers teaching the truth across the four corners of the earth where we have been scattered to, unfortunately, but for a much greater good, right? Greater than we can all even imagine or have imagined. To the rest of you believers out there, you women, children, friends of the prophets, men, newly awakened brothers and sisters to the faith, right? To, I say, of the Israelite nation, which consists of the so-called blacks, aka African Americans, aka Negroes, so-called, aka Black Lives Matter, so-called Latinos, Hispanics, Native American Indians, Latinos, Latinas, West Indians. To you, I say peace and blessings as well. If you prove me your faith by your works. All right. So this is going into discontinuing from our heritage. Now, when you go into that Jeremiah, the 17th chapter, the 4th verse, it's a very clear cut to the point scripture, but it goes much farther than one can even imagine, right? Than we probably all have imagined. And that's what this lesson is going to be about. All right? Because we, as a whole, individually, the Israelite nation, due to breaking the Most High's law, right, went on to discontinue from our heritage. And that's why so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, so-called, really doesn't have a place to call home or really don't have anything, right? So getting this truth is how we know this is our everything. Because this, in it tells us this. And it gives us everything back. Salakia, Satan. Okay? So now, we're going to go ahead and go into it. Let's go into the discontinuing of our heritage and see how deep this truly goes. All right? Okay, first and foremost, what does the word discontinued even mean?
Discontinued.
Of a product no longer available or produced. Interrupt. Disrupt. See, not continue. Cease taking. Stop making. Right? And synonyms to it, this word is stop and terminate, put an end to, put a stop to. Let's get some good ones. Break off. Phase out. Phase out. Withdraw. Suspend. Abandon. Leave off. Quit. Pull the plug on. Interrupt. Drop. See, cancel. Do away with. When you go into the word interrupt, it says stop the continuous progress of an activity or process. See, cut in on, break in on, barge in on. So the so-called white man was used to do that. He cut in on right when we were in the midst of all our heritage. And we're going to prove that. Right? He was used to suspend it, our heritage. You see, break the continuity of a line. See, a line is not interrupted. It's straight. It's all the way through. That's what makes it a line. It's a complete line. from one point to another point all the way through, but there's a break, right, which would be likened unto our heritage, which goes much deeper than you can even think. One would even think, at least when reading that verse. You see, the Lord meant a whole lot when he had that written, when he declared those words. The power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, the creator of heaven and earth. You see? So that line is likened unto our heritage. But our line, right, if our heritage was a line, it would be a break in ours. It wouldn't go all the way through. It would start and it would be broken up at a certain point. And that point is seen in the different conquests of us, so-called blacks, aka Negroes, Hispanics, Latinos, Latinas, West Indians, Native American Indians, right, by the so-called white man, right when we're in the midst of all of this. Let's read it here in the blue letter. Jeremiah 17:4, and thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thy inheritance that I gave thee. You see that? So the Lord said we were going to discontinue from our heritage. How? Because he told us we was going to go into slavery by slave ships. He's going to send a strong nation against us whose tongue we will not understand, a foolish nation. We will go to him in the want of all things. We'd be proverbs, bywords. So this guy will be used, this nation will be used to cut the Israelites off, right? From everything they have, would have, right? Which is still going on to this day until the appointed time, is up. Let's go into this word heritage. So possession, property. So the Lord said he was going to be cut off from our property. Possession, we were going to be cut off from our inheritance. Because we already went into what discontinue mean. See that? Our heritage. Heritage. The Hebrew word here is nakalah, which means possession, property, inheritance, heritage, property, portion, share. Something inherited. Something inherited. You see, an heirloom. You see, generally an estate. Generally an estate. Patrimony or portion. So this goes very deep. What is it? Let's get the word. Let's go into property.
Property.
A thing or things belonging to someone. Possessions collectively. Look, now it goes even further. So we will be cut off, discontinued from things that belong to us. The Israelites will be cut off from things that belong to them. Everything that will be yours, you will be cut off from. That's what the Lord is telling you. All your possessions. So your worldly goods, fortune, resources, riches, wealth, securities, patrimony, gear, all these different things we have. All these different things are synonyms to the word property. Property consists of all these different things: resources, assets, valuables, fortune, capital, riches, wealth, holdings, securities. And that word patrimony again. We're gonna go into that in just a second. Now, let's get a couple of these really quick, because property goes a long way, as we seen. What is an asset? Property owned by a person. You see, property owned by a person. So we have property that we own. That's a whole country, for one. And then they took this country from our people. Didn't he say we would discontinue from our heritage? And you go into the word heritage, it's nakalat, and it means property. One of the words here is property. When you go into property, property consists of assets. It's made up of assets, which is property owned by a person or a company. You see? So like the land of Israel, that's owned by the nation of Israel, of Yasha Allah, regarded as having value and available. You see, that's what an asset is. Our country is very valuable. It's known as the land of milk and honey, which the Lord told us to meet debts, commitments, or legacies. You see, we will be cut off from our assets, man. Property, resources, a stock or supply of money, materials, staff, and other assets that can be drawn on by a person or organization in order to function effectively. So certain resources we're supposed to be able to tap into being a nation, but all that was taken from us. You're supposed to be able to go into a supply of money being an Israelite. We come from kings, royalty. We're the number one people on the planet Earth. The Lord said we're above all people. He tells us that in Deuteronomy 7 and 6. He tells us that in Deuteronomy 14 and 2. We are a chosen people. He tells us that in 2 Peter 2 and 8, I believe. Or 1 Peter, if I'm not mistaken. One of those. We're a royal priesthood. We have the royal law, James 2 and 8. But let's stay here. You see that? So your property it consists of resources. A resource is a stock of or supply of money. You see that? Materials, staff. So you got people complaining about how we need to start our own fashion companies and our own warehouse. We've been discontinued from that. That's why we don't own any. Because the ones we had are no more. We've been cut off from all of these different things. We've been discontinued from our heritage. That's why everyone has a industry or a warehouse where different nationalities have their own warehouses for selling us materials and goods, in which they worked hand in hand with our number one enemy, which is Esau, to obtain. Because a lot of them come over here, which was a land, a property of the time of the Israelites, before it was anybody else's. And it was taken from them. The so-called Native American Indians, the so-called Latinos, Latinas. It was taken from them. You see? Who are the brothers and sisters of the so-called Negroes, West Indians, so-called African Americans. You see? So we've been discontinued from that. So that's why we don't have any of it. You see that? And these are things you usually can draw on because it's yours. You could just go to your factory and get, because our nation owns, when you want to make a different garment, you could just go and get it. We've been discontinued from all of that. We're not crazy. You're supposed to be able to operate like this. So it's not a coincidence that so-called Latinos, aka Latinas, Latinos, Hispanics, whatever, Native American Indians, so-called Negroes, blacks, right? The top people on the earth. There's no coincidence you are not able to do that at this very moment, while the Bible is on the earth at this very moment, with these words written about how the Israelites wouldn't be able to go do these things. You see that? Let's move on. Fortune, a large amount of money or assets. We've been discontinued from that, man. Solomon was the richest person to ever live. The Lord said it wouldn't be anybody wiser than him or richer. So where's all this money at, man? Where? Anybody know? We've been discontinued from it, and it's actually been stolen and seized. You see, riches, material wealth and abundance of valuable possessions or money. Now let's go into this word patrimony, because that word patrimony was there. Heritage, property inherited from one's father, male ancestor. You see? So we got the Israelites is who we come from. They owned a country that still exists. Different fortified cities. Different resources. Outlets of resources of our own. When something is inherited, it's passed down from one to another. You see? Property inherited from one's father or male ancestor. You see that? So property. Inheritance. A thing that is inherited. Look, birthright. A particular right of possession or privilege one has from birth, especially as an eldest child. Now, that's going even further. But the birthright in this instance will be no one should be occupying the land of Israel, the country of Israel, over an Israelite child, because that's their inheritance. You see? But you got fake Jews living in the land of Israel who do not match these curses, who have not discontinued from their heritage. Everyone is in the land of Israel but the Israelites. Why? Because they've been discontinued from their heritage. That's their property. And everyone is setting up shops and all these other different things over there, making a killing. They're operating a military out of our country. We don't have a military. Right? And it's going to go even further. See, the estate of property belonging by ancient endowment or right to a church. See how spiritual this is? Who is the church or other institution? See this? This is the church, Matthew 18:17. And if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it unto the church. Now, who is the church? Ecclesia. The assembly of the Israelites. The assembly of the Israelites. The assembly of the Israelites. All of this stuff you read, and this applies to the Israelites. This is a church is simply when the Israelites gather together to have spiritual conversation about the Lord, to hold the different ceremonies, the different holy days, the high holy days. That's a church. So when you see the Israelites getting together to do anything, man, if it's work getting garments together, if it's whatever it may be, that's the church. Now let's move on. So things owned by the King Davids, the Samuels, the Hezekiahs, all the different kings, man. Josiah, all these different kings, the good kings. Hell, even Saul. No Israelite would be able to obtain to those properties, and those properties go into a bunch of different things, which is assets, valuables, fortune, riches, holdings, securities, patrimony, right? So women, things owned by Judith, things owned by all these different women, man. Mary, Because you know Mary was royalty. All the Israelites are royalty. So where is all this stuff at, man? Where's all our stuff at? We've been cut off from it. You see that? That's why we don't have nothing, because all the stuff we truly have is far greater than anybody can imagine. You see that? But let's move on. You see, so you would be discontinued from your property. Property also goes into attributes, quality, or characteristic of something. Now, these are traits, features. What is an attribute? A quality or feature regarded as a characteristic or inherent part of someone or something. You see that? So different things people are known for, right? Example they give you right here, flexibility and mobility are the key attributes of our army. So if the Israelites act like this, right? Say they carry this, we carried ourselves in a more dignified way. You will be discontinued from how the royal Israelites at a point in time before they went on to discontinue from their heritage, and all their descendants obviously would also fall victim to that. The ways that they were before that, the characteristics that they had before that, the attributes, which is characteristics or features, will be no more. You wouldn't act like them. And a feature, when you go into a feature, and it's a distinctive attribute or aspect of something. You see? So that's going into look. That's why the scriptures say Ephraim have mingled himself among the people. He's a cake not turned, man. That's what happened. That's why our people look like the heathens now. You know? That's a manifold scripture, but that is one instance of it, man. Hosea 7 and 8. So how Israelites were built, the Israelites' skin tones, complexions, how long the Israelites' hair was. You see? How the Israelites sounded. The Israelites' language. Israelites are known for speaking Hebrew. You will be cut off from that. You will be discontinued from that. Because property is a meaning of heritage. That's what the Lord means by heritage. So all these different aspects and different ways he said he will cut us off from, man. Power, the ability to do something or act in a particular way. So the ways that the abilities that the Israelites have, you will be before the discontinuing of the heritage, the descendants that pick the descendants that will be affected by that, right? Post discontinuing from the heritage, right? They wouldn't be able to do. They wouldn't have any of those abilities. What's some of the abilities? Our man was healing people with spiritual power, man. Our people understood the herbs to the highest degree, man. To prime compared to now, I'll say. Yahweh Shah walked on water, man. We could cast out demons just by the faith. The faith, the Israelite faith is nowhere near how it was then. Our people had so much faith, they believed they could touch Yahweh Shah, just touch him, to where he would feel his virtue leave and they would be healed. Just because they believed that much. They had the faith as much as a mustard seed. Our people we was discontinued from that. All Israelites post discontinuing from the heritage, that was that. That's the ability to do something or act in a particular way, especially in a faculty or quality. Our people had more humility. You know, our people used to put sand on their head when they would fast, man. Dirt on their head. They ripped their garments, shaved their heads, afflict themselves more. They had stronger spirits to be able to endure more intense fast. And guess what? We just now realizing this, and that's why we coming back into it now, so we know we're at the end of this thing. But that's what all this is simply about. Trait, a distinguishing quality or characteristic, typically one belonging to a person. You see? He was a letter of the law man, a common trait among cultures. You see, so Israelites. So when you look at what were they were about? They had ability to make garments. They had an ability to dress properly and efficiently and royal and be about. They was about the scriptures, all in regards to them dealing with the Lord and them having that. That's who they were. That's who our people were. This is in a sense of pre discontinuing from our heritage. Now, look, they had the ability more to abstain from the wine, the doctrine of the so-called white man. You know, appreciate how they do all these different things, man. You know, appreciate how they look and etc. You know, different traits. You see different features. He said we would discontinue from all of these different things. Now the Lord's gonna leave respect because that's balance. That's how He prove who we are. But you would discontinue. You don't even want to You don't even want to look like yourself anymore. You know what did Michael Jackson do to himself? He was this. That's the words that was proclaimed by the Father, man. That was gonna happen to the Israelites. See this? Discontinuing from their heritage, man, which goes into property, which takes you into characteristics, abilities, features. You'll be discontinued from your characteristics, how we truly act. And you've seen that over time. We went from, when you look at us post-shackle slavery, let's just use the so-called Negroes, right? Women were covered, hairs was wrapped. Men were in their more masculine. As much that was allowed, you know, at that time. And then over time, you see all that decrease and go away. Our people be spiritually who they were. All our women are the so-called Latino Hispanics, right? Latina, West Indians, same people, the so-called Negroes and Latinos and Native American Indians, same people. But all the women, you know, dresses, men in the all those things went away, man. You Gadites, you cut your hair. You see? But now we're in a time now where all of that is coming to an end, man. The Lord has brought this to our attention. You see? Discontinue from our heritage. You go look at any post, like I said, you know, here you are. You will not see it. So what happened? The discontinuing from our heritage, traits, abilities, features. Cause the money part, that's okay. That's a lot too. Different resources we supposed to be able to have. Property us. We own property. And the main ultimate part we're gonna go into now. You know, people bugged out. You would not. You got the men want to be women and women wanting to be men. You see what I'm saying? So all these different ways, right? Because like I said, we're gonna go into it now. So you're different height, right? Different characteristics. You know what I'm saying? Abilities. It's nothing. So we can actually probably run faster. We will have to be taller, be built more proportionate, be more in shape naturally, be more in touch with the earth. The animals inclined to us better. All those abilities we would have, characteristics, features would be, you know, better skin, healthier, more naturally healthier. All these things we would be discontinued from. Different frames, man. Our shapes, our true height. All these different things, man. But I said, let's go ahead and go into it. All right, so let's get patrimony. Because when you go into property, is these things owned by you. Property consisting of all the things we went into: riches, wealth, resources, assets, capital, security, etc. On even further, being more detailed to characteristics and features, power, which is ability, traits you're known for. The Israelites, they were known for being royal. You will no more be that, man. They were going to no more be that. They really had a lot of, the Israelites have a lot of sense. They're really a dignified people. They have a lot of morals. You will no longer be like that. They have a lot of humility, a lot of morality is found amongst the Israelites. And now you just a bunch of niggas. Niggas, they call us niggas, wetbacks, blanket butt, whatever, man. You see that? From riches to rags. You see that? But anyway.
Patrimony.
So it's different fields of agriculture in Israel we supposed to have, man. Right? No longer. And we already went into this. It says portion. You see that? We will be discontinued from our portion. It says portion. So who's the Israelite? What is the Israelites' portion? Whatever it is, they will be discontinued from. Jeremiah 10:16. The portion of Jacob is not like them. We gotta go into it. Sirach, also known as the book of Ecclesiasticus and Apocrypha, 17th chapter and the 17th verse. It tells us right here, for in the division of the nations of the whole world, which we're gonna prove, double down on this too, and of the whole earth, Salakia, he set a ruler over every people. But Israel is the Lord's portion. See that? So we didn't get things that the other nations got. The Israelites did not get the things that the other nations got. And it tells us this here. Deuteronomy 32:8, when the Most High divided to the nations. See that? Their inheritance. You see? So everybody has an inheritance. When he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the children of Israel. For the Lord's portion is his people. You see, Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. So this is actually telling you that the Israelites' portion is the Lord. Jeremiah 10:16. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things. You see, meaning the portion that Israel got out of the pot is nothing like what everyone else's portion was served out to them to be. The portion of the Israelites, what was given to them as their portion when he divided to the nations that what everybody gonna get and deal with. The Israelites got something that no one else got. They say the portion of Jacob is not like them, meaning the other people, non-Israelites, for he is the former of all things. For he is the former of all things. And Israel is the rod of his inheritance. And Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Meaning the Israelites was set up to direct, because that's what you do with a rod, and correct. Don't the scriptures tell you, spare not the rod? Dealing with the child. The Lord said he's going to give us a rod of iron to rule the nations. Moses left out of Egypt with a staff, that rod that he did, he did wonders with. We're the rod of in the Father's hands, man. Our nation, the nation of Israel, which consists of the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians, man. West Indians, African Americans, Black Lives Matter, Hispanics, Latinos, Latinas, whatever you want to call yourself, man. You're not any right now. You didn't go on to stay being Yasha Allah, but now we're in a time where the Lord has brought that back to our memory. He brought that to he has brought this to our attention on a heightened level, on a very microscopic level. It says, the Lord of hosts is his name. So the Jacob's portion is God. No one else got that. So we will discontinue from our portion. If our portion is God, we don't have God anymore, man. Ultimately, you don't have the creator of heaven and earth. That's why everything keeps happening to us. We've been discontinued from everything, our heritage, man. And inheritance is the same word as heritage. It's the same word. So our heritage, we will no longer have. And your inheritance and your heritage is your portion. What was divided, what was given to you from the Creator, what was designated to you, land, language, style, spirit, under different understandings. And the Lord gave us Him, man, because He wants to use us to direct everybody and put everybody else in order. But go figure. You see? We will discontinue from all of that, and we're not even in order. People putting us in order. People telling you an Israelite. The heathens. They're waiting for you to put them in order. So we've discontinued from everything. All our riches is why you don't have black-owned banks, including so-called Hispanics and Native American Indians. You're all so-called black people, man. That's why you don't have any of these things. You work for the so-called Chinese man, white man, African man, the Hamite. They're over you. They've been put over you because you discontinued from your portion, which was being over everybody else. And what does that tell us? Everything that was given to you, which is your heritage. You see? Sirach 17 and 11. Besides this, he gave them knowledge and the law of life for inheritance. You see that? He made an everlasting covenant with them. So that means it really is just a stop in time. The line is going to continue. So that's the situation we're in right now. So it's beautiful to notice. And shewed them his judgments. Their eyes saw the majesty of his glory, and their eyes heard his glorious voice. You see, he said unto them, beware of all unrighteousness. And he gave every man commandment concerning his neighbor. Their ways are ever before him, and shall not be hid from his eyes. So that's why the Lord has discontinued us from our heritage, from him. And everything we have, our land, our riches, our property, man. Everything we own and should be able to go and get. You're not supposed to be on food stamps and all this other crap, man. Barely surviving, robbing Peter to pay Paul, hitting licks on your neighbor. You're supposed to have riches, man. But you want to do this. Every man from his, verse 16, every man from his youth is given to evil. Neither could they make to themselves fleshy hearts for stony. Right? Because the Israelites, they're the worst of the worst. That's one thing the Lord said, because we're above all people. So we dominate everything we do. You know? That's why the so-called white man uses as the engine or the catalyst to to wickedness, which he is the vessel for. But we can high power it. We're like the nitro to everything. You see that? You got a fast car, but if you get a Lamborghini and you put nitro, it's already fast. You throw the nitro in it, the Nas in it. That's Jake. That's you so-called Hispanics, Native American Indians, and so-called blacks. That's all you, man. They're able to do that because you don't know what to do with yourself anymore. You lost your characteristics, which is the way you think. You know damn well it don't make sense to be out here killing each other and being mad at each other. And these people put us in slavery, and they the ones who actually used us to discontinue us. They retaught us. They gave you the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. They did all these different things, man. Jake bugged out of their mind. This is Psalms to double down on that heritage. Right? The Israelites was given God as a heritage, man. You discontinue from that, man. That's your inheritance. That's your portion. You see? Ultimately, because if you got the Most High, you got everything. Because it says he is the former of all things. Right? So, and gave their land, Psalms 136 and 21, and gave their land for inheritance, for his mercy endureth forever. Inheritance unto Israel, even his servant, for his mercy endureth forever. So there you go, man. So our heritage is the place the Lord dwells at. He put his name at, and that's the country of Israel. But since he said he dwells in the midst of Israel, that's why he said you don't put no blood where he at, because he dwells in the midst of the Israelites. So the Lord is not in Israel right now. That's why they're able to do all those, do crazy parades, the gay parades and all this other stuff, man. See that? Is he not even there? The land is being trodden down by the Gentiles, man. See that? But overthrew Pharaoh and his host in the Red Sea, for his mercy endureth forever. To him which led his people through the wilderness, for his mercy endureth forever. So that's why, the Lord, he wasn't with us during the conquest of Christopher Columbus, right? Cristobal Colon, Bartholomew Colon, all these different, Amerigo Vespucci, all these different devils that came to us and we tried to rise up against. But if he's not with us, he fights our battles. You won't see what happened in Egypt, but you're getting ready to see it, because now this has been brought back to our attention, and we want our life back, man. That's why you want to look like other people, think like other people, accept yourself. You don't know who you are. You discontinue from who you were, how your foremothers thought, how your forefathers thought, act, look, dress, think. You really have discontinued from enough to prove the point. Because if he did it, not saying the Lord's lukewarm, I'm gonna just leave it like that, man. You see what I'm saying? It say, to him which smote great kings, for his mercy endureth forever, and slew famous kings, for his mercy endureth forever. Sion, king of the Amorites, for his mercy endureth forever. And Og, the king of Bashan, for his mercy endureth forever. And gave their land for an heritage, for his mercy endureth forever. Even an heritage unto Israel his servant. Because Israel is his rod. Don't you use your staff to walk with? That the staff is to serve you. You see that? A man has a walking stick. He's using that to serve him as a service. You see? You didn't hold up your end of the bargain. We did not hold up our end of the bargain. So the Lord discontinued from us. He cut us off, man. It's been a pause in what we are to be obtaining to. What we were obtaining to. It's been a pause in that. And that's been all set up by the so-called white man. So it ain't too much more to say, man. See how deep things go? The Lord meant what he said, and it happened. So it's not a coincidence this book still exists, and you so-called blacks, aka African Americans, aka Black Lives Matter, Latinos, Latinas, Latinx, Hispanics, Native American Indians, Taino Indians, whatever, man, West Indians. It's no coincidence that book still exists, and all you, right, with the Israelites, with having words in it, how the Israelites were discontinued from their thought processes, how they live, right? Different features, different characteristics, their build, different abilities. Someone of our nation walked on water and could turn water into wine, and went on to help the rest of his brothers to see this, man, this ability we have, because we have the Father. That's why he came. So where they can go on and start doing the same acts, and it's getting ready to, and didn't even go on fully, because he said the works he do, we shall do greater works. We're getting ready to come in that time. Thieves have taken over what we have. We come from royal people, man. Everything we ever had, we discontinued from. When we ruled Europe, we discontinued from. When you so-called Native American Indians, Latinos, right, Hispanics, whatever, when you were in America, right, before it was called America, I believe it was called Turtle Island. Before he came, the so-called white man came to put a pause in what we were obtaining to. You own this. You were owning this. And you was cut off from it. Everything, man. Our people, William Tyndale, King James, also all of the so-called black Native American Indian American race, which is the Israelites. All these things you will discontinue from. Women don't dress how you used to dress anymore. You don't think like your forefathers, your foremothers. Our children, you know, they're not succeeding as they once were. You know, the story goes on, man. Different abilities, man. We don't have anymore. Resources, respect for one another, love. The angels used to come to us, man. They used to come down on earth. The Lord said he did his wonders in front of our eyes, man. Angels supposed to be coming to you. Everything we had, we discontinued from it, every era. So yeah, we left Israel, we got kicked out of there. We set up in West Africa. Guess what? We was doing our thing. We discontinued from that. Went into slavery, came up, started Black Wall Street. Guess what? Bombed. Discontinued from that. Before all that, Native American Indians, Latinos living here. This place was abundant in gold, all types of resources, very rich soil. That's why the so-called white man set his whole base here. Because what you were getting out of here, man. What our people were getting out of here, man. No more. Discontinue from. He put borders in between the land that was all one. Mexico. Now he's keeping you out. You was here. You been here. You're literally cut off from it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, how much further does this have to go for you to get it? We're Israelites. You discontinue from that. You picked up all these dang flags. You discontinue from your hair color. From believing you're beautiful. From these people fearing us, seeing that the Lord is called by our name when we're actually the saints. We're called by the Lord's name, Salakia. Another thing we discontinue from. These people are supposed to be our slaves, man. Because that's in the heritage. That's the laws, the Israelites' heritage, right? Leviticus 25. Because this is the law, which was given to the Israelites, right? Let me get a quick scripture real quick. Another one to bag that up. Psalm 78:5. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in God, the Heavenly Father, the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, and not forget the works of God, the Most High, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, but keep his commandments. See that? And might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that set not their heart aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with God, the Heavenly Father, the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Let me jump down to 10. Verse 9. The children of Ephraim, being armed and carrying bows, turned back in the day of battle. They kept not the covenant of God, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, and refused to walk in his law, and forgot his works and his wonders that he shewed them. Marvelous things did he in the sight of their fathers, marvelous things did he in the sight of their fathers, in the land of Egypt, in the field of Zoan. He divided the sea and caused them to pass through, and he made the waters to stand as an heap. In the daytime also he led them with a cloud, and all the night with a light of fire. So that's talking about the chariots, man. The chariots, that's why they're coming back now, and you starting to see them. So our people did all these things, but they didn't want to see all these things, and etc. But they didn't want to keep the Lord's. They didn't want to keep their heritage, so the Lord cut them off from it, and put us in rigorous situations to see you're gonna want to be who you are. You're not making any sense. Here it is. We supposed to have slaves of the other nations, and we the slaves, servants. You're the royalty of the earth. You're above all people. So we will discontinue from all of this. Chariots leading us by night, a light of fire. Lord making water stand up in front of us as heaps. That's a mountain that you're supposed to sit. He made it stand up and get out of our way. He jacked the water up, man, and stood it up on his feet, if you will. So Leviticus 25, I'm going to start at verse 1. And the Lord Yahweh spake unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them. So this is all a message, words, more words to the Israelites, as we know. But just, to just make clear. When ye come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath unto the Lord Yahweh. All right? So let's jump to the 40. Let's jump to 38. I am the Lord Yahweh, your God, power, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, to give you the land of Canaan, and to be your God, power. And if thy brother that dwelleth by thee be waxen poor, and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant, but as an hired servant, and as a sojourner he shall be with thee, and shall serve thee unto the year of Jubilee. And then shall he depart from thee, both he and his children with him, and shall return unto his own family, and unto the possession of his fathers shall he return. So there go that patrimony, that property, that inheritance, see? And unto the possession of his father shall he return. But that's not my point. For they are my servants, which I brought out of the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold as bondmen. Thou shalt not rule over him with rigor. Your brother is your fellow Israelite. It tells you that in Leviticus, the 19th chapter. But thou shalt not rule over him with rigor, but shalt fear thy God. Both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you. Of them shall ye buy bondmen and bondmaids. So you Israelites, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, you're supposed to be owning these other nations as servants and handmaids, man, as slaves. But yet we're the slaves now. It says, moreover, the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy. Of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they begat in your land, and they shall be your possession. So even when they go on to have kids, they're your slaves, they're your servants. And ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them. So your inheritance, you outright been discontinued from your inheritance. You walking around actually owning these people, and you can't do nothing with them because they own you. You see? You've been discontinued from being over all people. You see? And ye shall take them, Salaki, which they begat in your land, and they shall be your possession. And ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for a possession. They shall be your bondmen forever. Does the Lord change? No. But over your brethren, the children of Israel, see that? Ye shall not rule one over another with rigor. You see that? So you've been discontinued from all of this, and the Lord does not change. The scriptures tell us this, right? The Lord said he changes not. I'm going to get that real quick, and I'm going to close this out, right? Now, all of this is over. We're coming to the end of this. We're getting everything back, right? This is the get back now, right? So he meant that. This is Malachi 3 and 6. For I am the Lord, Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua. I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. See, he changes not, man. And then this is told to us from the Messiah as well, because he speaks the Father's words. Hebrews 13 and 6, 13 and 8, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, the same yesterday and today and forever. You see that? Be not carried away with diverse and strange doctrines. You see that? So there you go, man. So this is all the truth, man. You've been discontinued from your heritage, and now it's time. This is the get back, man. All these ways you picked up, you learned amongst the heathen, and due to your discontinuing, which is due to your disobedience, right? We inherited the punishment of our ancestors due to them breaking the covenant. So we got the curses. We're under the curses now. So ways you used to eat, ways you would look, the way your ancestors would eat, the way your ancestors would go about certain things, think about certain things, right? Handle matters, walk, talk, carry themselves. You will be discontinued from, look, you see? Things they wouldn't even consider. You would now, because you've been discontinued from those characteristics. You deal with your children, all type of different things, man. So I won't draw it out. So now knowing this, you should understand why we have to turn back to our power now, because that's ultimately what you've been, paused from, cut off from. And that's the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the creator of heaven and earth, who people ignorantly call God and Jesus Christ, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Our portion. Never knew that, but now you know. So now this is the get back, man. Right? Revert from all these false and wrong ways and due to just improv, impromptu, all these different things, man, whatever you want to call it. These many inventions, hip hop and all this other garbage, it's lifestyle and all this other crap, So that's the get back. Lord has been edifying. Let's get back to what it is the Father thinks, right? So we can get our stuff back and more, which is on the way. All right? Shalom.